Why does my head look small?
It just does. Look how much bigger my head looks.
Just roll backwards then.
It still looks a lot bigger. Hi everyone, it's Catherine. For the first time in forever.
Not forever?
It's been a long time since you actually sat down in a video.
Okay.
Like you just saw him in our 3-year anniversary vlog on this channel. And you all loved it, and you all asked a ton of questions about our relationship because I feel like we haven't been giving many updates. We've kind of taken the path of YouTubers that don't broadcast their relationships just because after all of those YouTube couples imploded like 2 or 3 years ago. But I think one video in a blue moon is perfectly healthy, so. And that's actually what we want to talk about is sort of healthy relationships versus happy relationships. I think our relationship, definitely a happy one, but most importantly, I feel like it's healthy. And a lot of people just want the happiness and they don't care like at what cost that is. They just want that sort of romanticized relationship. But ours has definitely been also very compatible and supportive and healthy as well. So, if you don't know us, you just clicked on this video for other reasons, go ahead and subscribe because you'll see us together every once in a while. There should be a dog vlog coming out very, very soon, so if you want to see that, subscribe. We've been dating for 3 years. We started dating end of our freshman year of college. We dated all throughout college. I graduated early, started working in the Bay Area while he was still in LA in school. So we've done, I guess, like 9 months of long distance-ish.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like 9 or 10 months of long distance. And now we're both gonna be working in the Bay Area. We're reunited, not living together, if you're wondering. Yet. So that's a little background, the boring little blurb there for you. But we asked for questions on my Instagram, which I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to get it to 10K just so I can use the swipe up feature. It's a little bit regressive that they don't let me use it just because I don't have 10K, but whatever.
Like that smash button.
So I feel like a lot of these questions sort of hit on similar notes, so we're going to kind of go through section by section and just sort of cover our experience as a couple, why we're still here together today, why we haven't broken up yet, why we're still a healthy couple.
Yes.
Yes.
We go and do some stuff.
Yes. Okay. Let's start with the long distance piece because I feel like most of the questions centered around this, and that's kind of the most recent thing in our relationship, so we'll kind of speak to that. And just very generally, someone asked, how do you make long distance relationships work? What would you say to that?
I feel like there's 2 different types of long distance relationships. There's one when you know it's temporary and you like know that there's like an ending point in time, like when the long distance portion of a relationship will be over, and then there are ones where it's like indefinite, like you don't know when you're going to be together again. So we've only had experience with the former, not the latter. When you know when the long distance portion of your relationship is going to be over, I feel like it's a lot easier to get through it. The main thing that you got to do is just kind of do every effort that you can to stay in touch with that person. When you can, try to go visit them or FaceTime them or text them. At least for Catherine and I, when she was working full-time and I was still in school, we wouldn't FaceTime every day because I feel like that's just a bit excessive. Like I'd text her every day, maybe FaceTime like once or twice a week, and then we try to see each other every like 1 or 2 months. So like just trying to keep that communication alive and being real with your expectations for the other person. Like if you like expect like you're gonna maintain like the same like qualities of your relationship before and after it was long distance, have that conversation. Or like I know some people like, hey, like we'll have like a bit more like loose of or open of a relationship like while we're long distance, and when we get back together it will go back to normal. Just like be communicative with your expectations.
I like that. And I think also the reason long distance didn't break us apart is because, first of all, we weren't that far apart from each other. It was just Northern California, Southern California, so it was like a $150 flight for me to come see him, or I could drive down for like $80 worth of gas and easily spend a weekend. And it wasn't something like I a couple times spontaneously within a few days decided to drive down just because flights got too expensive, you know, a couple days before. So it was pretty easy, like if I really, really missed him or like we really, really wanted to see each other, it was pretty easy to see each other. And then I think also we didn't have like insanely high expectations for being in constant contact because he knew that I started a brand new job, and for the first few weeks of my job I straight up would put my personal phone in my desk from like 8 to 5 and I just would not use it. And so I was like, hey, like if you need to text me on my work phone. And so we just didn't talk that much during the day. And then sometimes at night, like he'd have stuff to do, he'd be at club meetings or I would. And so if we didn't like really talk and like get stuff out for one day, it wasn't like we were insanely disappointed. It was like, oh my God, they don't care about me anymore. It was truly like, oh, we want to support each other's goals and like support each other's education / job. So we didn't have that going. And also I actually really liked our long distance period because it felt like every time we saw each other it was like a little mini vacation. Because every time we saw each other it was exciting and it had been a while and you had a lot to talk about, and you're like, we would always explore LA, or you'd come up here and we'd like, you know, hang out at your house and just like spend quality time together. So it was really fun because it's kind of breaks you out of the ordinary scheme of like your usual day-to-day, like, oh, we go to this mall or we go to this restaurant. Like you kind of want to explore more with the other person because it feels like you just have that one weekend.
I feel like one of the things about relationships that people kind of like villainize is the fact that like it breaks people apart from their other friends, and I actually am really thankful for having that like long distance period of our relationship because I got so close to like my other friends at USC because like I'm like super introverted, and so I was forced to like spend time with like other people instead of just like the time I usually would have spent with Catherine. I tried to do that before, but like I did it to like the X degree for my senior year, which I'm really thankful for because I got really close to them.
Yeah, like you no longer have the expectation that you're supposed to spend all your like waking time with your significant others, so he was able to actually devote time to friends and deepen those relationships, which then only helped our relationship because it gave us more room to breathe and like gave us more things to connect on. And I don't know, I think that was really healthy for us actually to have that long distance period because I think we realized like sort of the least amount of like contact we would need to still feel connected, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So now when we have so much more than that, it's like a lot more fuel to the flame, I feel like. The next point I want to center on is how we balance our goals and our commitments with our relationship. We're definitely both very driven, ambitious people, and one of the questions was specifically, how have we adapted between different work and school schedules? What have you done to cope with clashing schedules? I was wondering if you had advice on balancing a relationship and pursuing your goals. How do you make sure to spend enough time with your significant other, but also make sure to focus on school and your career goals? I would say just spend the time that you're working on school with the other person.
Yeah.
Like just study together and then you're both working towards it together.
Yeah, it shouldn't be like one person, like being with another person is like destroying your career or like your like scholarly goals. Like if in a perfect world your relationship is supposed to better you as a person, and in that manner like we are supposed to elevate each other, not like bring one other person down. I
think part of it is just that we're very vocal with, if we don't feel like we're getting enough of the other person's time, we'll let them know.
Yeah.
And we also just understand that like we have goals to hit, and like if you have to come home late from work or from school and like miss out on eating dinner together, it's like, hey, we'll get dinner tomorrow night. It's not a huge deal.
Yeah.
If it starts becoming a repetitive thing, maybe it'd be a bigger deal, but like one-off instances is not bad.
When we first started dating freshman year of college, Catherine was a lot busier and more involved than I was because I like didn't get really involved my freshman year, and so I felt like it was really hard for us to find time to spend together, and I always felt like I would just be like, hey, we can meet this time and this time and this time and this time, and she's like, I can't do any of those, and so I felt like my time was less valuable than hers, and I ended up having to like sit down and like telling her like that she needed to make time to spend with me because she needs to make our relationship a priority in her schedule, and she needs to make our relationship a priority in her schedule, and there should never be like a power imbalance of like time priority. Like no one's person's time and effort should never be more valuable than the others.
Right. There definitely was a period last summer I felt like similar, and I felt like we were growing apart and I was feeling more lonely and that you weren't like putting as much into the relationship. And so it takes a lot of strength, but you really just have to sit down with that person and be like, hey, want to have a serious talk here, like I feel like we need to reset or like refresh this and put like, you know, balance this more out. And so you can have checks along the way and kind of say like, how are we doing on this point? How are we doing on that point? How do you deal with trust? Why do you trust me?
I think trust is like literally just something that you have to build. Like, there's no other way than like going through experience. I think at first you have to trust like stems itself from a little, like trust stems from like a little bit of insecurity and like having to constantly communicate. And that definitely like was the case in our relationship. But like after like many experiences of like seeing what would happen and like different situations, like I just came to trust her. So I think there's a little bit of maturity and there's a lot of communication on both of your parts of like just understanding that like if this is a priority in both of your lives, you are going to keep your word behind it, and that's where trust stems from. Yeah,
I really don't think about trust. I've just trusted Austin since day one. Like, he's very competent. He always tries to help me. I know I don't have to remind him a ton of times. How do I avoid romanticizing my significant other and putting them on a pedestal?
Don't be afraid to be critical of your partner. Like, no one's perfect. Like, it's totally okay to like call out your partner. You're like on something, be like, hey, like that was you did something wrong, or like this could be done better. At the same time, like, don't be mean about it, but just like totally fine to have like a conversation like of how to improve yourself. Like, you should be able to like call something out, but then also provide a way in which your partner can like fix that or like improve on that.
When you're in the beginning of a relationship and you're in the first like 6, 8, 10 months, you are so into the other person, you just want to keep that relationship so sacred and so warm and wonderful that you don't really want to call the other person out on anything that they did that might have maybe upset you a little bit, or maybe it's not your favorite thing, or ways that you think that they could be better. But as soon as you do that, like, your relationship becomes so much stronger, because now I feel like, yeah, if I say something to Austin about maybe the way he behaved, I didn't like, oh, I didn't like that comment you made about this person, or we can talk about maybe like political things and actually have opposing arguments, and I won't just like change my opinion just because he believes something. And that makes us stronger, because it makes us realize that like we're not just, you know, the same person. Like, I don't know why that makes us stronger, but it just does. It just does. If you can actually settle the conflicts and like settle and just understand that you're each individual person, like, yes, we're highly compatible, but like we're not perfect, then I think that makes you more resilient to struggles in the future.
One of the things that we do is like, we don't publish our relationship on social media. Like, the social media gratification that you can get from a relationship can be a huge thing that like hides flaws in your relationship. So like, if the relationship is for you and not for social media or for impressing your friends or doing other things, then that's when you know like it's not like it's going to be something that's meaningful to you, but also not like annoying to other people.
Have there been any times in our relationship where we thought about taking a break? And I don't think there really have been.
No, we like have never thought of taking a break. I feel like this is more probably on maybe like the argument question. Like, if I know some people, when they get into fights, like, oh, you know, we're gonna take a break and then come back. I don't think that's personally how we would ever approach our relationship. Like, we've gotten in plenty of fights, like, totally honest, we've gotten lots of fights, but that's just something that happens when you're in a relationship. And I think, and especially for the more serious the more serious fights, like what at least I have done personally, is like, those fights are so emotional, and like you can say stuff very quickly that you don't mean. So of course, like, have that like discussion, but try to remove yourself from the situation and get to a place where you can like be thinking level-headed on your own, like by yourself, and like ask yourself, is what we're fighting over right now something that I'm willing to end this relationship over? Like, is the thing that I'm upset about now worth getting rid of this person in my life forever? Not having them in my life. And there have been plenty of things where I was so angry, or like we were like fighting very hard, and I like ended up like having some time alone and thinking like, would I want to not have her in my life because of this? I'm like, there's literally almost nothing that I could say yes to that question because of. So if you can justify that in your head, like if you can like say yes to that question, then you should probably not continue with that relationship. But if you can't answer yes to that question, then I'd be angry, like be angry, like fight, and that like it's healthy to get over that, but at the same time realize like let it go after a little while.
And I also think we try to prevent fights a lot of time. Like if I know you're tired, I won't push anything. Like if I know you're tired, I'm not gonna be like, hey, let's go to another shop, or like let's go to this other place, let's get dessert here. I'm just gonna be like, okay, like maybe this is the end of our night. Like if you're tired, or like maybe this is like where I'm gonna go back and do my own thing and he's gonna spend some time to himself. Like they're like, you can kind of feel the other person's emotions, and if they're just kind of having an off day, like don't be like, why aren't you so into me? Like just give them kind of like their space and let them do that, because otherwise it can create a rift in your relationship that didn't need to be there, just because you wanted your relationship to be like so fun and happy all the time, when you're like, no, this person needs space and they need time to like help themselves, just maybe for that day or just for a few hours, take a nap, whatever they need to do. I think that plays into the happy versus healthy thing, is like I'm willing to maybe cut a day short that I had planned out if it's going to help the other person feel better, and not have this expectation that you're like, you know, everything has to go to plan for you guys to have a happy relationship. It can, you know, value the other person's mental health or physical health or emotional health, like probably is a happier relationship than, you know, something fake where you're forcing someone to be something they're not. I know this might have not been the most like constructive, like 7 things to do to have a healthy relationship, but it can't be like that, because every relationship is different. I think the takeaway is just be super vocal all the time, even if it might hurt, because even if you just say, hey, I'm really tired and I actually don't want to go to the beach today, that's going to be so much better than dragging the other person to the beach because it's what you want to do and it's the fun, cute thing you want to do, and then you end up getting in a fight at the beach because the other person's grumpy, doesn't want to be there. Like, just be honest, because like it'll be better if you can compromise on those sort of things than set up false expectations.
It's also just like, hey, like if you're doing this thing and it's annoying me, like let me know, like, or like tell that person, because like if every time that you're with that person they're doing something that's annoying you, that's like not good for your relationship. Like let them know, and like let them know like, hey, could you do this instead of this, and like just be open to having those conversations, even though they may be a little uncomfortable. If
you have follow-up questions, you can absolutely leave those down below. I definitely want to hear what you guys think, and if you related to this or what to you was the most important point that we made. You'll see more of him on my Instagram occasionally. We're going on a Euro trip together, so you'll definitely pop in there. So we'll break our social media rule for a little bit. And I love you all. Thanks so much for watching, and Cather out.